If you think that video editing is just about pretty effects and trendy animations, then this video is not for you. But if you're ready to open your eyes to what really stands behind high rates and clients' respect, stay. There are no easy tricks here, but there is a system and a way of thinking that changed everything. I'll show you how to work smart, not on autopilot, to save your time, raise your price, and become irreplaceable. But let me warn you, to understand everything, you need to watch closely and all the way through. It's even better to take notes to remember what's important for you. If you are not ready to invest 2 hours and some money into your growth, don't waste your time. But if you are, welcome to a completely different level of editing. Most videos on social media look okay, but if you're building a brand, launching a product, or just want your work to be taken seriously, okay isn't enough. Premium videos feel completely different. They reflect style and attention to detail, not because of a $5,000 camera, but because of the little details: movement, rhythm, color, sound, and overall style. I've identified 8 key elements that make your videos feel cohesive, visual premium, and like content from a strong brand. There are 3 main factors that play a big role in style: colors, fonts, and graphics. All of this creates a consistent style that you should aim for. Let's start with colors. Colors in your videos should repeat over and over again. And I'm not just talking about the text colors and similar elements, but also about shades and color correction. For example, you might use green text on a white background when you want to highlight something in the video, or when you're writing chapter titles to break up the video into sections. And the video itself, where you're speaking, could have a green or yellow tint, and so on. So stylish your video and building your own style is all about the little details, not just the obvious ones. If you look at style from the color perspective, it's literally any combination of colors you use so that these colors become associated with you. Fonts work in a similar way. If you choose a font, stick with it and don't change it. You can also tell whose video it's based on the font. Big brands have their own fonts made specifically for them to stand out from others. For example, Apple has 2 main fonts, and one of them is divided into 3 variations to add even more variety. There are a lot of fonts you can use, both free and paid. Usually, fonts aren't expensive unless it's a very popular one lately. In that case, fonts can cost around $400, but typically you can get one for about $10. The last factor is graphics. Graphics are used everywhere now. Basically, graphics are animations of elements in your video. Any animation through movement, scaling, or rotation is considered graphics. And here you don't have to overcomplicate things. You can keep it simple and minimalist. This way you won't spend too much time, but will still get a good result that looks and feels like a high-quality video. If you want to know more about color combinations, fonts, and graphics, check out my video about details in videos to dive deeper into the technical side of all this. The next things you need to know to make videos that feel expensive is the balance of volume, sound clarity, and sound design. Let's start with the most important and fundamental thing: sound clarity. The quality of sound determines how expensive your video feels. There are very common mistakes that most video editors make, and these mistakes significantly reduce the positive perception of the video. One of the main mistakes is making the sound too quiet, not removing background noise, not getting rid of reverb, or if you do remove reverb, you end up muffling the voice so much that it sounds like someone's talking from inside the can. You should avoid all of this if your goal is to make the highest quality video. Now let's talk about volume balance. When I talk about balance, I mean the proper balance between voice, music, and sound effects. There is a certain hierarchy, and I'm specifically talking about cases where voice is present in the video, because there are types of videos where music plays a more primary role in the audio hierarchy, like a car or house review with music playing. So the most important is voice. Then sound effects and music should be the quietest. This hierarchy is reflected in the volume of each audio source, not in what's important to use and what's not. It's important to use everything. I hope it's clear that voice is the most important because the information the person is sharing is the key part of the video. Next we have sound effects because it will be hard to distinguish a sound effects from the music if the sound is too quiet. And finally, music in the background to cover noise, fix sound imperfections, or make the video more atmospheric and convey emotion through it. As for sound design, it gets a bit complicated. To keep it short, you need to use sounds for their intended purpose and in the places where they are needed. You should also consider what these sounds are designed for. For example, there is a rise sound, which gradually increases in volume, building tension. Then there is the hit sound, which makes a sharp noise like a muffled explosion that gradually fades. It's used to release the tension. So if you swap these sounds, it will sound weird, and that's not what you want. To avoid that, you need to understand the purpose of each sound you use. To dive deeper into this, you can check out my videos on music, sound effects, and how to make videos that look expensive, to learn more about sound in detail. Now, it's important to explain the significance of editing with purpose, because many people don't even think about it. There are a lot of nuances to consider in every video. First, it's about cutting and smooth transitions through the edits in your video. Secondly, it's about rhythm, the flow you create through the video cuts to maintain a certain rhythm. Let's start with the cuts. Editing is often not given enough attention, and I haven't seen a video dedicated to explain its importance and purpose. To put it briefly, the goal of editing is to convey the idea and meaning of the video. In other words, to create storytelling. And by the way, when I say smooth transitions, I mean those transitions between clips that are almost unnoticeable. The very cuts between video clips. They should be seamless. So if you want someone in the frame to move slightly off-center or in-center, make sure the composition of the previous clip matches the composition of the next clip. You need to pay attention to every little detail here. But it's also crucial not to make one mistake that is common even among professional video editors. This happens when there is a small gap of 1 to 2 frames between clips, which results in a black screen, or a similar mistake happens when someone leaves extra 1 to 2 frames. This sticks out and isn't very pleasant to watch. I also have a separate video where I talk about all the subtleties of editing, so I recommend you check it out to avoid making mistakes and to do everything in the best way possible. Well, let's talk about the details that are essential to use consistently to give a better understanding of what you're talking about in the video. There aren't that many details I focus on: icons, videos, photos, and subtitles. Icons are necessary to visually emphasize key points. Videos and photos should be used when you're talking about something that can be visually shown or proven. For example, I can say that I helped my friend master video editing, after which he gained over 100k subscribers. To back this up, I can add a photo to prove that he indeed has over 100k subscribers. Or I can show statistics of his earnings and views through a video. So there's no doubt about what I'm saying. So if you can visually show something, use whatever you can to make it happen. But don't overload each frame with elements just to fill the video. That's gonna be difficult for you to do, and it's gonna annoy viewers because it overloads their brain. Ideally, you need to know when it's appropriate and when it's not needed at all. Basically, you need to understand what's important to emphasize in the video, what information is essential to display through icons, photos, or videos. But with subtitles, it's a little different. You can add them throughout the entire video, but under one condition: that nothing else is there except the speaker and the subtitles to make the information easier to process. It's important to format the subtitles correctly and apply them well. To understand how and why to use them, check out my video about subtitles. It will definitely help you understand this better. Color grading is an essential part of the video editing process. It's not just high quality sound that affects how well a video is perceived, but the video itself. How well you do the color grading determines how pleasant the video will be to watch. The most important thing in color grading is setting up the colors and lighting properly. If I were to give one piece of advice, it would be this: make the video look realistic. The colors should be natural and the lighting should be realistic. No need to boost saturation by 150%. Approach this more responsibly. Also, your video shouldn't have parts that are too dark or too bright. Even the most basic color grading settings will help make your video look better. You just need to know how to do it. And by the way, it doesn't matter which program you use. If you have basic tools for color and light correction, you can still make it look great. In my video about color grading, you'll learn everything you need to know. Editing with an idea is a bit different from the editing with purpose section. Let me explain what I mean. Editing with an idea is about using trends and your own individual approach to creating videos. This means coming up with temporary or unique ideas for your content. It's important to understand that trend-based ideas should be used wisely, not just copied exactly. What's the idea behind the video or trend? Then take the idea and adapt it to your videos. Don't just copy everything blindly and think it will work. And don't think that if you copy something that works for others, it will work for you too. It won't. I've made the mistake of just repeating things, but it never worked out for me. I have a great example from one of my videos, where I took the idea of a person talking about what he learned after 2000 hours in After Effects. I took the idea to share my own experience, but instead of just repeating the exact same thing, I shared what I achieved and what I understood after 4000 hours in After Effects. And it blew up. I got 18,000 views and more than 400 subscribers from that video. Do you see? What worked here wasn't mindless copying, but just the idea that I took and adapted to my own experience. Although this example isn't about a trend, the same thing applies to trends. Blind copying won't get you anywhere. You need to think about what you are doing, and that's when you'll create content that gets the results you want. In my example, my individual approach also worked because I brought my experience and thoughts into the video. People are genuinely interested in someone else's experience, especially when it relates to what they're going through, to learn more and progress faster. So if you're someone who can share your experience in a particular field, go ahead and do it. So the mastery of editing comes down to two things: using professional tools and having a flexible approach. Professional tools can be not only video software or plugins, but also knowledge. You might think that Final Cut or DaVinci is enough for your needs, but that's not always the case. If you try different programs, you can realize that they differ and are not as similar as you may think, each with its own set of tools. Just try out different software to understand which one works best for you. It's also not a good idea to limit yourself to just one program. Sometimes I use 4 programs to create a single video. For example, for one video where I did an experiment in Blender, I used Premiere Pro, After Effects, Photoshop, and Blender. More often I use 3 programs, all except Blender, but sometimes Premiere Pro alone is enough. However, there's rare. I like using Adobe's suite of programs because I can easily switch between them and everything is in one place. And I prefer their interface over all others. Knowledge is also key. I've made a video on my main channel where I say that there are no secrets, at least not the ones they share on YouTube. If it's been shared with a wide audience, it's no longer a secret. That's why you can avoid paid sources of information. I recently bought a 1-hour call for $100 where I learned a ton of new information and saw what I was doing from a different perspective. This can really impact your development, especially when someone else points out how to improve what you're doing, especially if that person knows far more than you do. If you also understand that learning is important, you can start with my free 15-minute video. If you like it, you can fill out the short form for a chance to get training from me. In 1 month, you'll be on a completely different level of editing skills and understanding how to edit videos. The link is in the description. The last thing I'd like to talk about is platform adaptation. As you know, depending on the platform you're creating content for, you need to choose the right video format. You need to decide whether to go with a 9:16 ratio or 16:9. For short content, you make the video vertical, and for long videos, you use a horizontal format. It's important to keep this in mind and create everything according to this format. I think it's essential to mention because you may need to create one video in 2 formats, and you should decide upfront whether to make a horizontal video that can easily be converted into a vertical one, or to create separate videos for each format, which will take more time. Also, keep in mind that some apps have interfaces that may cover parts of your video elements, negatively affecting how the information is perceived. To avoid this, there are specific frames and layouts that help ensure your elements are placed where they won't be obstructed. I have several frames in my store to guide you on which areas to avoid adding elements. Additionally, I offer many free and paid useful products in my store that will simplify or speed up your video editing. The link is in the description. If you're an editor who wants to edit videos not just to make them look good, but with a conscious approach that helps you stand out and earn more, keep watching. We are going to talk about intentional video editing, the kind that's valued by those who are ready to pay for real results. Here, you'll learn how to create videos that not only look better, but actually work to achieve goals, whether they are yours or your clients. As you probably know, in our world, there are different types of videos made for different goals and in different contexts. But in video editing, your goal is always the same, to edit the video. The approach, however, is completely different depending on the type, because editing is just a process and it's mostly the same. Cutting, working with sound, doing color correction, adding music, and sound effects. That's the standard for any video editing. But I want to clarify one thing. In my view, there's a type of content and a subtype. I divide content into 3 main types. The first type, anything shot by a person on camera. Vlogs, reviews, or talking head videos all fall here. Even a brand character filmed for an ad also goes here. The second type, content that uses human voice or AI-generated voice, but it's faceless. You don't film yourself, just voice over the video. The third type, content created entirely with AI and may be edited by a human. Then there are 6 subtypes. Educational, like tutorials and breakdowns. Review-based, tech reviews, services, trends. Narrative, storytelling or personal experience. Entertainment, memes, reactions, shows. Motivational, to inspire the viewer. And analytical, deep dives and opinions. Understanding type and subtype, I want to make it clear that I'll only be talking about the first type, filming with a camera or using a character, even artificial, to avoid connecting a real person to a brand. Now to the point, during editing, you need to understand what type and subtype you are working with, because that determines the whole process. To save time and focus, you should master one type and a few subtypes first. Learn them deeply. If you are worked with the second type, switching to the first will be a bit harder. There's a lot of new material and things to learn to work with video footage. But if you already work with the first type and have experience across a few subtypes, that adds a lot of value to you as an editor. This understanding will either come with time or by working with someone who already has experience and can guide you toward the areas where you still need to grow. The first key skill I want to highlight is the importance of understanding what you're doing and why you're doing it. If you're using a J-cut, why? If you're trimming a clip, how much should you cut? If you are removing a moment, why exactly are you removing it? If you added a sound effect, why that one specifically? Why that music? Why that icon? Why black text instead of green? I could ask 100 similar questions, but would you know the answers? I'm not saying there is one right answer to each of them, but in many cases, there is a way things should be done and no other way. If you don't understand what or why you're doing something, these questions will throw you off, because you probably weren't thinking that deep, you were just doing it because someone told you to. But I'm not teaching you how to click buttons in a program, I'm talking about what actually makes your videos look high-end and professional. Ideally, I want to be able to ask you any question, even a dumb one, and you should be able to explain your reasoning. That's why it makes a video truly good, not effects or animations like people often claim. But effects and graphics still matter. They do influence quality. I stand by what I said, animations alone don't make your video high quality. But combined with all the fundamentals I talked about on this channel, yes, they can take your video to the next level. Graphics help make text and other elements appear smoother, more stylish and more professional, and animation is already a form of graphics. Same applies to animations. If you add one, it can make your video feel more polished, but only if it's well made and fits the context. Every small detail in a video plays a role. Some have a bigger impact, some smaller, but it's important to pay attention to them. Why tiny detail can completely change how a more obvious element feels. Here's a quick example from my own experience. I had zero understanding of how sound works. I didn't know how to process audio at all, and as a result, I did it poorly. I watched a ton of tutorials, but none of them solved the full problem. So I tested everything I could, figured out how audio processing works, and built my own system. But I didn't stop here. I went deeper into the small stuff. I discovered a micro adjustment that now takes me no time to apply, but it took me hours of trial and error to even notice it. Now you can hear the result. My inexpensive mic sounds better than many podcast setups worth thousands. I'll show you the before and after so you can hear the difference for yourself. If you're an editor who wants to edit videos not just to make them look good, but with a conscious approach that helps you stand out and earn more, keep watching. If you're an editor who wants to edit videos not just to make them look good, but with a conscious approach that helps you stand out and earn more, keep watching. If you want the same sound quality, even without expensive gear, I've got a video on that here on the channel. But if you want the full guide, it's available on my website, where I walk through my entire voice processing setup in Adobe Audition and Premiere Pro. If you're ready to level up your sound, you're welcome to check it out. It's impossible to cover all the details in even 10 hours, but if you want to reach a level where every decision in editing is intentional, not just I was told to do this, so I do it, start with my free 15-minute video. After that, you'll be able to tell if you're ready for the next step, training, where I don't teach you how to make it look nice, but show you how to edit with purpose, so that every moment, color, pause, or sound works towards the result. If you want to stop wasting time, edit quickly and accurately, and create videos that feel like high-end product, you can fill out the form and get a chance to join my month-long training. And if you want one-on-one mentorship, that's also an option. All the links are in the description. I've already talked about what to do, but I haven't mentioned what you should avoid. The first thing you need to understand is that trying too hard with effects and animations without solid fundamental editing is very difficult. Don't chase that. It's already an advanced level. But most likely, if you've realized that you don't know everything, I think you're not at that level yet. I'm talking about the first step in video editing, where knowing a lot and having highly developed creativity is not necessary. I don't know everything and I can make mistakes too. I started experiment more and applying things I've never seen before. It doesn't always work well, but experiments help me understand what works best and what really makes a difference. I don't want to just repeat after others. I want to think about improvements myself. Everyone makes mistakes, but how many depends on you. I really wish someone had told me certain things earlier so I wouldn't have wasted time. My perfectionism cost me a lot of time, and it was a huge mistake to spend 100 to 200 hours making a single video. I overthought what to do and literally worked through every pixel. Don't do that. There are many mistakes and I can't list them all. And another mistake I want to talk about is misunderstanding structure. You know, sometimes a person talks about one topic and then just starts talking about something else if they are working without a script. Then they might return to the previous topic. To avoid this, in the final video, these moments can be swapped around. It's not difficult, but it will prevent confusion. You need to spot flaws and try to fix them. See what can be fixed, and if it's not possible, don't waste time on things you can fix. It's better to take a bit longer to think, but make one right decision, than to just do something and then realize there is no logic to it, and you've wasted several hours. So, thank you for watching up to this point. I believe you're the kind of video editor who's ready to take in information from others and learn from their mistakes to become better. In this video, I'll break down the editing principles that turn a beginner into a true professional. This isn't for those looking for easy tips or quick fixes. We'll be talking about deep, purposeful approaches that real professionals use to make their videos stand out and deliver real results. If you're ready to work at a level that clients and businesses truly value, keep watching. But if you're not yet ready to invest in developing your skills on a deeper level, this video isn't for you. A beginner thinks about how to make things look pretty because most likely they are not interested in deeper understanding of video editing. They only watch surface level content. They won't care about videos like mine, it's too complicated, and they are not willing to think deeper. It's hard, and what's the point anyway? They think animations will do all the work for them, and that there is no need to know more. But even if they watch every top 5 animations video or best effects of 2025, they still won't get results they want, not for a client and not for themselves. There's more to know than just the process. To be honest, I have a goal to convey to you that visuals are good, but they don't play the main role in the video editing. Unfortunately, that's all most popular YouTube editors talk about. But what about the pro? The pro thinks about how to manage attention, not with ADHD editing, but with purposeful editing. They think about subtle details the viewer might not even notice directly, but will feel subconsciously. The viewer just likes the video, even if they don't know why. But a beginner won't understand this. They'll just assume a pro got lucky. Sure, luck plays a part for everyone, but knowledge plays a huge role in videos' success. And not just editing knowledge. Knowledge that goes beyond editing is just as crucial, because editing alone isn't 99% of videos or campaigns' success. It's a small but important part. If that sounds unclear, let me explain a bit. I mean, things like the idea, the script, and several other key elements, depending on the goal of the video, all play a role. So betting everything on pretty animations is even dumber when you don't even understand why you are using them. And just to clarify, not every video will appeal to everyone. Sometimes poor retention doesn't mean the audience didn't like it, or that the video or editing was bad. Sometimes it's just the wrong audience, and that's not your fault. Also, a beginner copies others instead of thinking for themselves. They don't think about how to improve things, how to do them faster, easier. They don't experiment. They just follow along. That's what makes them a beginner. And I'm not talking about someone who's never opened an editing program and sees it like a plain cockpit. No, I'm talking about their mindset and actions in any software. If they blindly copy without understanding why, that's exactly why they are still a beginner. People who just mimic editors who stand out, they'll never get the same attention or hype. Because at that point, it's just a copy, not something high quality or original. A pro does what's needed with full understanding of what they are doing and why. Only that kind of clarity brings real results. If you know the goal and know how you reach it, there's no problem explaining to your client why you didn't do it their way or handling similar situations. So if you start editing a video by creating a project and just cutting the footage, you are already making a mistake. First, you need to process the audio track to make the voice sound better, so that at least someone wants to listen to your video. Second, you need to think about the purpose of the video. How do you edit it to bring results for the client? For that, you need to understand the purpose of the video, what it's for, and the target audience, so you know exactly how to approach the editing style. By the way, this is really important to understand, because if the final video doesn't align with the client's goal, doesn't suit their audience, or just isn't liked by them, you'll have to redo the video. Or you simply won't deliver results, meaning you haven't done your job properly, and you can't call yourself a pro. So discuss the video's goal upfront, so you can edit not the way you want, but the way it's needed. And of course, video editing isn't just about making a video look pretty. It's about making a video that delivers results. Sure, their videos mean to focus purely on beauty and style. Nothing more is needed, like motion design or a product advertisement where there's only music or voiceover. In most videos where someone is speaking directly to the camera, the beauty of the video, effects, or animations play a secondary role. First and foremost, you need to do the foundational editing well, and only then think about animations. Because if you mess up the foundation, animations won't make sense at all. The basic editing process involves a lot of steps that you need to go through. I've covered them in this video. I shared everything I've learned over 8 years of video editing. There's also a playlist with these videos separately. I highly recommend checking it out. And of course, different videos require different approaches. If the goals of the videos are different, then the editing will differ too. So if you have generic content, you edit it according to that style. The same applies to subtypes. If you want to learn more about all the types and subtypes of videos, and what skills clients, brands, and businesses truly value in an editor, check out the video on that topic. Now it's important to talk about the approach to editing. You need to understand that video editing isn't about the software, plugins, or tools, it's about your mindset. In other words, you need a conscious approach to deliver results. Since clients have different goals, you need to understand how to edit in a holistic way, not just one style. The more you know, the more valuable you'll be as an editor. Right now, you may not know much and might not even think about certain things, but I'll be helping you in your journey with my videos on this channel. Here I talk about my experience, not just repeating someone else's words. I'm sharing not superficial information that you can find everywhere, but only my personal experience from 8 years of video editing. I'm already annoyed by videos like how to edit like Imangaji or how to make a beautiful UI animation in Apple's style. There are hundreds of such videos on YouTube, but there's practically nothing about fundamental editing. And the saddest part is that these videos are popular and people don't realize what really plays the key role in video editing. They are just wasting time on unnecessary animations, doing the basic editing terribly. The sound may be horrible, but hey, they added pretty effects. Good job! No. That's exactly why I created this channel and make videos for those who want to consciously make videos and understand what they are doing and why, not just repeat someone else has done. Personally, I believe that this is what brings results and makes a video truly high quality. It's also very important to feel the rhythm, understand where and how to cut frames, and what music to add to avoid ruining the viewing experience. If you are just doing what you are told and trying to find one single guide that will work for everything, you won't find it. There's no secret that will help you master video editing in one day or make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year just by knowing that secret. However, everyone's favorite effects are always an addition to the foundation of your video. They only complement a well-made video, they don't do the work for you. Beautiful animations and effects don't always give the right result and aren't suitable for everything and everyone. So think twice before spending hours watching and creating animations for a video. But understanding the client's needs and their audience is the key to success. Use these principles to stand out from those who follow the pointless strategy of just making things look good in order to earn money. But remember, earnings depend on the results and success of the client, not on your ability to make things look pretty. Think about that. Now I can tell you how to improve your skills as a video editor and become a professional in this field. I'd like to say that conscious video editing is not a talent, but a skill that can and should be developed. I explain how to develop in this video and also reveal it in other videos on this channel. Study the fundamental principles of video editing, not just techniques, because how you apply these techniques is much more important than how vast your arsenal of techniques is. Apply a conscious approach even to the simplest tasks. And this isn't about wasting time on simple and insignificant things, but about developing the skill of understanding video content. What works and what doesn't, what to use in your work and what not to use. The more you delve into this and try to break down videos from other creators and create your own, the quicker you'll master it in the future and the less time you'll waste, while the quality will remain at a high level. If you truly understand that video editing isn't about beautiful animations, but about the thinking and approach that influences the outcome, then you should check out my 15-minute video. I explain how to edit videos properly and purposefully, which deeply engage the viewer and bring in more views or increase the rate for your services. I will also reveal how to elevate your editing to a level where your work starts producing results. This training is not about fast, not about cheap, and definitely not for those looking for a magic pill. It's for those who already know something or want to learn how to create quality videos. If this resonates with you, fill out the short form. And if you want one-on-one training with me, you can also do that. All links are in the description. In this video, I'll show you why blind editing never leads to real results and how to start editing with purpose and strategy. We'll talk about how to move beyond templates and start editing with real meaning and purpose. This video is for those who are ready to stop editing blindly and shift to a conscious approach that will actually make you a professional. Let me start by saying this. Blindly copying someone else's style or decisions without understanding the context, that's not just a mistake, it's a guaranteed way to stay stuck in mediocrity. First off, you rob yourself of the chance to discover something truly unique, something that couldn't only make you stand out, but even reshape how people perceive your style. You're basically taking away your own opportunity to create the kind of editing that grabs attention so hard people want to reverse engineer every frame of it. Let's be real, it feels way better when others copy you than when you're just copying someone else. That feeling of creating something so valuable, it inspires others and become part of their projects. That's one of the most powerful things for any creator. Right now, I wouldn't say I've invented something revolutionary in video editing that others are making tutorials on, but maybe you can get there before I do if you stop blindly mimicking other editors and their style. You'll never create a trend or a recognizable style if you don't understand the meaning, goals, and feelings behind it. Seriously, think about this. How many stages do you go through while editing a video? 3, 5, 8, and how many of those do you actually understand why you're doing them and what they are doing for your video? If you're editing on autopilot, just doing stuff without knowing the why, that's not editing. That's just button pushing. There's zero professionalism in that. And if you don't understand the context of the video you're working on, it becomes a total mess. Honestly, I don't even want to imagine editing a video on a topic I don't understand. It would probably turn out horrible. Without getting the subject, I wouldn't be able to add the right visuals, and that would ruin the whole experience for the viewer. Understanding the context is critical, not just cutting out boring parts and making it look nice, but actually supporting the message with visuals that make sense. If you want to stop making these dumb mistakes, even in the fundamentals, go check out my 100-minute video where I break down everything you need to know. Following trends and using popular techniques isn't always bad, but if you don't understand why you're doing it, it's just a waste of time. I've said this in my videos before, just repeating what you saw in the tutorial isn't enough to make a great video or deliver real results to a client. You've got to dig deeper. Think wider. When you copy blindly, you fall into a trap. You limit your thinking to someone else's decisions. The result, zero creativity, no growth, and let's be honest, the most memorable things are born outside of templates and trends. Now, if you're watching others for reference, soaking in styles, adapting them, remixing ideas, that's a whole different story. That mindset helps you grow. It gives you way more than any step-by-step copying ever could. But if all you do is repeat without processing or making it your own, then ask yourself, what makes you unique? Why should the client choose you and not the person you are copying? So why does it matter to create, not just chase trends? It all comes down to intent. I'm not saying ignore trends. Trends work. They bring reach and money. But if all you do is follow, you'll always stay behind. Creators, the ones who originate, they always get more. More attention, more freedom, more income. Think about it. Maybe your goal isn't to follow, but to create. Not to copy, but to combine. Pull inspiration from everywhere and turn it into something fresh, something that's yours. Build your own style. While others are still trying to master someone else's, you could be the one they'll be learning from. Editing with purpose means understanding every move you make. Why did you choose that color? Why this music? Why that timing? Everything should have a reason. You are not just pushing buttons, you are making decisions, and you should be able to explain why you made them. But here's an even more important question. Why should you know the video's goal before you start editing? The answer is simple, because everything depends on that goal. Your approach, your style, your visuals, your music, even the software you use, all of it should serve the video's purpose. If you're editing a chill talking head video for a loyal audience, you don't need Blender or heavy 3D work. But if you're building a slick motion design piece for an ad campaign, Final Cut won't cut it. You'll need After Effects. The goal defines the tools. That's why you need to ask about it first. Ask questions, dig for clarity, and if you see a better way, suggest it. Explain your approach. That's what professionals do. They don't just follow instructions, they bring ideas to the table. Purposeful editing isn't about flashy visuals or wow effects. Knowing what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how it moves the video toward its goal. That's what separates a beginner from a pro. If you understand how important it is to edit with purpose, and you want to create videos that don't just look good but actually delivers results, watch my 15-minute video. In it, I break down how purposeful editing approach helps you stand out and earn more. If what I show resonates with you, you'll have a chance to apply for my 1-month group training. where I'll personally guide you through every step of the editing process. And if you prefer a more personal experience, one-on-one consulting or full mentorship is also available. All the links and details are in the description. So, how do you actually build a unique editing style and stand out in the world of video editing? First, stop spending endless hours on tutorials that just walk you through how to create a single effect. Sure, they'll help you copy what you saw, but your real goal is to spot the small details that show up across different creators and turn those into something your own. Second, start watching videos with a focus on details. Pay attention to what catches your eye. Maybe it's a specific use of grain, a color combination, or how they handled typography. Take notes, mix those ideas, create your own version. It's simple but seriously powerful. And it's not just about effects. Look at color, fonts, layout, frame composition. All of that can become part of your signature style. What matters is that you find what resonates with you and build around it. For example, I personally love using a haze effect. It adds an atmospheric fog with light beams cutting through. But your thing might be completely different. Color combination, minimal type, even the arrangement of elements. Whatever you like. There are endless possibilities. This is how you stop blending in and start standing out. It's how you create something that sets you apart and gets the kind of results you've been chasing. Editing with purpose isn't just a creative process, it's a strategic decision that determines the result. In this video, you'll learn how to approach editing consciously and wisely, creating videos that work toward your goals or your client's goals. Whether it's a YouTube video, an ad, or a brand video, you always need to approach editing with purpose. If you're ready to start editing with a clear strategy, watch this video to the end to understand what editing with purpose means and how to edit not just beautifully, but with results in mind. If you don't have a clear understanding of the video's goal, the results will be random. Understanding the goal of the video gives you a clear step-by-step plan of what to do, when, and why. If you know what you need to achieve, you can structure the process in your mind, what, when, why, and why you need to do it. Without this plan, you won't be able to create a video that delivers results. And delivering results should be your only goal. Otherwise, why are you even making the video? Many people don't realize that behind high-quality editing lies immense effort. If the video turns out to be exceptional, it means that every detail was carefully thought out in advance. For example, I can immediately picture what should be in the video, how to structure it to keep it interesting, what to show visually to communicate something, and in general, I can roughly build the structure of the whole video just by knowing its idea. The more videos you create and the more challenges you face, the faster and easier it becomes to do things that used to take you hours. If in the past I spent a lot of time thinking about how to visually convey something, now it only takes a few seconds to come up with a rough concept in my head, and then I refine it. But the core idea comes quickly. It's just like developing the skill of shooting a basketball into the hoop. Many people these days focus on beautiful animations and effects, but what's the point if you haven't mastered fundamental video editing yet? I see a lot of mistakes that video editors make simply because they are skipping or not paying attention to fundamental steps in the video editing process, which ultimately lowers the quality of the video. These are basic mistakes, yet they still make them.
The big question is Social Creator Club worth the $67 a month?
If you're an editor who wants to level up, land high-paying clients, and edit like the pros, and a 6-week roadmap to get your first client and earn 1 to 5K a month as an editor. Hi there, Tom from the future here. Interviews with editors of Ali Abdaal, Magnets Media.
Every shot and effect should support the idea. If the editor fails to do this, it distracts and creates confusion in the video. It's common to add an element that simply doesn't fit, and that causes misunderstanding. When you add an element or animation to the video, do you ever ask yourself why you're adding this and why at this specific moment? If not, I recommend asking yourself these questions more often. You may save a lot of time if you avoid mindlessly adding whatever comes to mind during the editing process. Understanding the small details is what distinguishes a professional from a beginner. By small details, I mean those things that are hard to notice unless pointed out, or those that are perceived on a subconscious level. If you can create these small details in your video, you will definitely stand out with your editing. If you are a beginner, it may be difficult or even impossible to understand what these small details are. But don't worry, everything comes with experience and time. So as long as you continue editing videos and strive to do your best, you'll eventually reach a level where you can create these details on your own. If you want to become more than just a regular editor who mechanically clicks buttons, but truly achieve results and stand out from the rest, I have something important to offer you. I have a 15-minute video where I share the system that helped both me and my friend achieve great results. I personally taught him editing, and in short time, he made impressive progress. If you want to start editing with YouTubers, brands, or businesses and achieve real results, this video is your first step. Watch it till the end, and if what I'm saying resonates with you and you see what I can offer, welcome aboard. After watching, you'll be able to fill out a short form and ask me more about my training. Additionally, if you want to work with me personally, you have different options to choose from: a 1-hour call or full mentorship for a month. All details and links are in the description. The sooner you start learning mindful video editing, the faster you can establish yourself as a professional and have the opportunity to start working with large companies and famous personalities. Individuality is very important right now because copying someone else's style wouldn't be considered unique. To be honest, if you can perfectly copy someone's style, it means you really understand what you are doing and that makes you a professional. But how do you want to stand out from your competitors if you are simply copying what someone else has created? I'm not against taking an idea, but don't just blindly copy what someone else has done. I've already talked about the blind copy of what someone else has already created. They stood out and you are just a copy of them, which means you'll get less. So if you are curious about when copying is good and when it's bad, and how to come up with your own unique style that makes others copy you, you can check it out on the channel. Don't mindlessly copy trends, create your own approach. If you unconsciously just follow trends, your success will depend on luck. Trendy music or your style doesn't guarantee success for your videos. You need to understand the essence and concept of the trend to achieve similar results. I often see people creating short content and using popular music, but still not getting views. Why is that? Simply because they don't understand what makes those videos popular beyond the music. That's why understanding trends is as important as understanding editing in general. You need to choose what to show the viewer so it leads to a goal or makes sense. For example, take podcasts. If you think editing a podcast is simple and you just need to cut out pauses or awkward moments, you're wrong. It's not that simple. To edit a podcast, you need to think about what the person is saying, where the thought is going, and how it reveals who they are. If you just cut, add some text, and do a little color correction, nothing good will come of it. You'll end up with something mediocre and low quality. Maybe that's okay for some, but personally, I'd want a video editor who thinks about the details and creates meaningful videos, not just mindlessly puts things together. There are very few like that, and big brands or YouTubers fight for them. Finding a good editor is very difficult because anyone who's watched a couple of YouTube videos on how to edit in Premiere Pro in 15 minutes can do the basic stuff, but those who dive deeper into video editing really stand out. And if a regular video editor struggles to sell themselves as a specialist, an editor who edits videos with purpose won't need to. You can simply say that you create videos that deliver results. You can offer a money-back guarantee if, or make revisions, as not everything will be perfect the first time according to the client's vision. But if you can explain why and what you did, you won't need to make revisions and you'll raise your value in the client's eyes. This is what I keep saying. You just need to understand what and why you are doing it. Understanding the reasons behind your actions makes editing strategic. The more questions you ask yourself while editing a video, the less time you'll spend on unnecessary tasks. If you think first and then execute, you'll only do what is truly needed. But if you act first, realize it's not what you wanted, then redo it, and realize it's still not fitting, can you imagine how much time you'll waste on things that aren't even necessary? Instead, you could have just taken a few minutes to think about whether something needs to be added, and if it does, what exactly and when. Will it be appropriate? That's what mindful editing is. It's not just about doing, but about thinking. This is very important, and it's something every editor lacks. Thank you for watching until this point. I really appreciate it. Because you want to do more than just edit. You want to understand why you are doing it. If you are a video editor who wants to earn more but is still focusing on flashy effects, trends, and viral animations, it's time to change your approach. To earn a high income, you need to do more than just create beautiful videos. You need to create results that solve specific problems for your clients. In this video, I'll explain what high-end clients actually value in an editor. If you think that flashy effects and UI animations are exactly what clients need, you are partially right. Beautiful elements are valued by those looking for a visual appeal, but for businesses or brands, it's usually not the external shine that matters, it's the actual result. The goal of a business is to make money. If a business isn't generating income, it's no longer a business. Here's the key. Businesses are willing to pay for results. They don't care as much about how much time you spend or what complex effects you use, as long as the outcome is useful and leads to growth. You could create a simple but effective video that attracts clients in 1 hour of work, or you could spend 20 hours on a beautiful but pointless project. The question is, will the result of that 20-hour video be 20 times better? It's important to understand that clients pay for the final result, not the time spent. If you complete the task in 10 minutes, you'll still get paid for the work, not the time, and that benefits both you and the client. Efficiency, that's what matters. When working with businesses, remember, the end result is far more important than how many effects you use. No matter how pleasant a beautiful video may look, if it doesn't solve the business's goals, it's pointless. The most important thing is that the video fulfills its objective, whether it's increasing sales, attracting a new audience, or boosting brand awareness. You need to understand that businesses are paying big money for this, not for hitting buttons in software. The priority will always be on effectiveness, not beauty. The elements may be beautiful, but if they don't help achieve the goal, they lose their value. Once you understand why and what you're doing, you'll be valued as a professional who delivers results. Now imagine yourself in the client's shoes. You're a business owner and your goal is to increase sales with a promotional video. What's more important to you, creating a beautiful video that doesn't deliver results, or a video that might not be perfect or as beautiful, but brings in new clients? Sometimes simplicity and clarity deliver much better results than being overloaded with effects. By simplicity, I mean basic editing that's not bogged down with elements but focuses on conveying the meaning and message of the video. You can find examples of this in any industry. Have you ever wondered if a construction company really needs beautiful UI animations, or animations in the style of Imangaji for a car sales company? I think they probably don't. However, despite this, such videos are becoming more and more popular. These are the kinds of videos that people watch to earn a few $1,000s a month. This style works for bloggers, but it's not always suitable for businesses or brands that focus not on video virality, but on tangible results for their business. Here's a question: what's the likelihood that you'll find a YouTube blogger willing to pay you thousands a month for these effects? How many of those types of bloggers are out there, and how many editors can join their team? Most likely, Imangaji won't hire 10 more editors to make videos in his style because there's only one person who created that style, and he is the most valuable. Those who simply copy it, I'm sure, aren't needed. Think about it. Now imagine a different scenario. How many companies would want to work with you if you offered a service that could increase their sales by 50% or improve some other metric that matters to the clients? You might not spend a lot of time on complex animations, but instead, you could think through the video concept, shoot quality footage, or simply make adjustments and expertly edit the material. It might be harder than just jumping into After Effects and cranking out tens of animations, but these types of projects will bring in much more money. There are plenty of businesses out there willing to pay for real results, to shoot videos, or to hire video editors, but there aren't so many big YouTubers who need to increase sales or views thanks to an editor. If you know that what gets you paid and makes you valuable as an editor isn't looking cool, but your approach and whether you think about what and why you're doing, then I've got something you'll want to see. I've recorded a free 15-minute video where I go deeper into editing, share some powerful tips for faster growth, and show how you can level up your skills in just 30 days. No fluff. If what I say on this channel resonates with you, you'll definitely enjoy this video too. And after watching it, you feel like going further, just hit apply now. Fill out the short form and we'll talk more about my training. If you prefer to work with me one-on-one instead of in a small group, that's possible too. All the links are in the description. I'd like to clarify an important point once again. It's crucial not to completely disregard the beauty of your videos, but at the same time, you need to skillfully combine it with basic editing. You see, at the beginning, basic editing is enough to accomplish the client's task, but there are situations when that won't be enough, and that's when you need to use more advanced techniques, including animations. I'm not saying that animations are something you should completely avoid. On the contrary, you need to learn how to use them and understand how to apply them properly. But, as I already mentioned, your primary focus should be on the fundamentals, on doing quality basic editing that solves the client's problems. I call this level fundamental, and more complex approaches with animations are advanced. It's important to understand that there must always be a balance between beautiful and functional content. At the first level, you focus on making the video clear, understandable, and functional. At a higher level, once you master the basic skills, you add visual elements, animations, and other effects to emphasize the essence of the video, rather than distracting from it. It's vital that your videos not only look beautiful but also perform their main task, whether that's grabbing attention, boosting recognition, or increasing sales. If you haven't yet mastered the basic principles of editing, you shouldn't jump straight to complex animations and effects. You need to understand that the fundamental level of editing is the foundation of everything. If you can't do the simple things well, then advanced techniques won't achieve the results you're hoping for. Once you master the fundamental level, you'll be able to smoothly transition to more complex stages and combine them. With experience, you'll begin to understand when to add animations and when it's better to keep the video simple to avoid visual overload. This skill of finding a balance between visual beauty and functionality comes with practice. So at this stage, your task is not to rush and get caught up in effects. Focus on mastering the basic level with maximum impact. Once you've confidently mastered the basics, you'll be able to develop your style, add advanced techniques, and achieve even better results. One of the most important aspects of your approach to video editing is a clear understanding of the goal the client wants to achieve. This is something I've mentioned on my channel before, and it's important to emphasize again. If you don't have a clear understanding of the video's goal before you start editing, how can you even begin working on the project? Before you start editing, you must always clarify what the client aims to achieve with the video. It could be increasing brand awareness, improving sales effectiveness, or attracting a specific audience. Different goals require different approaches to content creation, so the first step should always be clarifying these objectives. Just ask the client what they want to accomplish with this video. This is crucial because, based on this, you build your editing. You can use your skills to achieve exactly the effect the client needs, whether it's creating an emotional response from the viewer or presenting the product in most favorable light. You need to know exactly what the client expects. This is not just a formality, but a necessary step for successful work. Without understanding these goals, even the most beautiful animations and visual effects won't deliver the desired result. If you don't know what the client wants, you won't be able to structure the edit in a way that effectively solves the problem. For one brand, showcasing the product's functionality might be more important, while from another, creating an emotional connection to the brand through visuals is key. Remember, even if you create perfect animations, if they are not direct towards solving the client's primary goal, the result could be far from expected. This understanding is the key to quality editing that actually delivers results. So always clarify the goal before starting the work. For a professional, the most important step in their work is understanding the final goal, not just completing tasks related to creating beautiful shots. When you understand what the client wants to achieve, you can structure your entire workflow to make the solution as efficient as possible. You won't just know how to edit the video, you'll know how to shoot it properly too. Video editing is not only about working with footage, it's a whole process where it's crucial to consider every stage, from shooting to the final version. Understanding the goal allows you to be involved not just in editing, but also in the filming itself. This lets you envision how the final result will look ahead of time and ensure your vision is realized at all stages. This is another step towards creating a higher quality, well thought out project. It's essential to show initiative. If you are not just following the client's instructions but actively proposing ideas, it immediately increases your value as a professional. Offering a solution means you know what you are doing, and if you have a clear plan of action, it shows your confidence and competence. When the client sees that you're managing the project effectively, your worth as a specialist naturally increases. If you take responsibility for not only the editing, but also participation in the shooting process, it adds value to your services. You are taking on more obligations and risks, and for that, you get paid more. This opens up more opportunities for you to grow and earn. Instead of focusing solely on effects, you can take charge of the entire process, from concept to final execution. This allows you to not only earn, but also develop in other areas, such as creativity, filming, and project coordination. It may be tough at first, especially if you are not familiar with all the intricacies of these processes, but showing interest and a desire to grow will always pay off. This approach helps you achieve better results and significantly increase the value of your services. Your value as a professional will rise, and so will your ability to earn more and work on more exciting projects. This is the path to becoming in demand and successful in your field. When working with clients, results always come first. And importantly, clients are willing to pay more for a strategic approach. This is far more profitable and reliable than promises of quick fixes. When you are promised that you'll make thousands of dollars in 6 weeks just by creating beautiful animations, it's worth asking yourself, will this approach truly work in the long term? I'm confident that it's much more beneficial to earn more in less time by focusing on results rather than spending many hours creating impressive but sometimes unnecessary animations. By focusing on the outcome, you not only save your time but also increase the value of your work for the clients. When you have a clear understanding of the purpose behind each video, you automatically begin working faster and more efficiently. This allows you to deliver quality work in less time and earn more for it. If you focus on the final goal and avoid unnecessary embellishments, you can provide the client with the result much quicker, which means you can earn more for the same amount of work. The ability to deliver results directly impacts your long-term client relationships. When you promise results and actually deliver them, it significantly strengthens the trust the client has in you as a professional. On the other hand, if the result doesn't meet expectations, offering compensation or an additional service can help maintain loyalty and trust. It's also important to remember that clients value not only the outcome, but your responsibility in achieving it. Having a plan B is another way to build trust. If something doesn't go as planned, the client will have confidence that you are ready to offer a solution. It's this plan B that could be the deciding factor in a client's decision to work with you. You show that you are not only capable of solving problems, but also prepared to offer additional measures if something goes wrong. This helps you build stronger, longer-lasting relationships, which in turn leads to more repeat business and referrals. A lot of people think that success in video editing comes down to knowing effects or mastering editing software. But in reality, what often determines high income is the psychology behind every decision. In this video, I'll break down the mindset behind those who make serious money from editing, and why that mindset is so valuable to clients. You'll see how advanced editors make decisions and how that directly impacts the final result. This is a look at how the psychology of your editing approach becomes the foundation of high-paying content. Clients aren't just looking for an editor who knows how to use software. They want someone who can take their ideas and turn them into effective content that solves specific problems. A beautiful edit isn't always what's needed. Often, it's not just about cutting footage, but building a smart structure that delivers the right message to the viewer. Creativity plays a key role here. You shouldn't just complete a task, you should offer a unique solution that works for the particular client. That could mean unconventional editing techniques or effects that make the video stand out. Maybe it's creative pacing, rhythm, transitions, or graphics that highlight exactly the right things. But if you're adding these touches, don't overfocus on them or waste too much time. They are not the core value. The emotional side of content is another critical part. Editing can massively influence perception. A strong edit triggers the right emotions. Whether it's inspiration, joy, or tension, that's especially important in branding or promotional videos where shaping the viewer's attitude toward the product or person is essential. Platform and format knowledge is more technical, but still crucial. A good editor should know how to adapt content for the specific platform. Instagram, YouTube, whatever, each one needs its own approach, and that has to be considered during the editing process. Finally, working with limitations. Tight deadlines, small budgets, low-quality source footage requires the ability to use resources effectively. Solving problems quickly and maintaining quality under pressure is a key skill too. In the end, clients want an editor who understands goals, brings creative solutions, shapes how content feels, and adapts it to the right format, all while staying on schedule and within budget. Most people think video editing is about software, transitions, music, effects, and animations, but the truth is, real editing doesn't start with the program, it starts in the mind. The true power of an editor isn't in how beautiful they stitch shots together, but in why they did it. Editing is about thinking, it's the ability to see the meaning, structure, and other direction before you even open the project. You're not just cutting footage, you're controlling attention, emotions, and context. You decide what the viewer will see, feel, and think. It's all in your hands. Even the pause between shots can change perception. One shot can build trust, another can cause irritation. You have to feel this, anticipate it, and use it. That's where professionalism begins. A beginner edits to make things cool or beautiful, a pro edits to make things precise, exactly how they need to be. Every element works toward the goal. The video isn't just pleasing, it's working to achieve a specific result. This is no longer about style, it's about strategy, it's about making the video perform its task. Selling, explaining, inspiring, capturing attention, or evoking emotion. Editing without thinking is like shooting in the dark. You may hit the target or you may miss, but when you edit with intention, you influence the outcome. You save time for your client, amplify the message, and turn the video into a tool for gaining attention or increasing sales. And that's what clients pay for. Not for the files, not for the project, they pay for the result you deliver because you think like a producer, like a strategist. That's the true value of editing, not how modern it looks, but how precisely it hits the targets. If my YouTube videos opened your eyes, just know this, they are only 1% of what I actually teach. I made a free 15-minute video that expands on everything and shows you the full system I built over 8 years of editing. You'll learn how to make your edits feel premium, even with simple footage, build strong structure and rhythm that actually works, and stand out from the other editors and grow faster. But that's just the surface. In my growth training, we go 10 times deeper. You don't just hear what I know, you get direct feedback on your edits, full answers to your questions, and personal help every step of the way. Not once, not twice, as often as you need. I'll show you exactly how to think, how to structure, and how to grow into someone whose work speaks for itself and gets paid like it. This 15-minute video is just the beginning. If it hits you, you feel it, and you'll know this is what I've been missing. At the end, you can apply. I only take 7 people for group training and only 1 for individual mentoring, where I'll give you even more specific benefits than in group training. If you're serious, this is your moment. Today, everyone is chasing trends, but the truth is, when you are only focused on the hype, you stop thinking. You stop feeling trends killing strategy because they make you edit by template, not by purpose. It's like playing someone else's game by someone else's rules. Every project should have its own goal, atmosphere, and logic. When you just copy, you lose depth and uniqueness. You become replaceable, which negatively impacts the price of your services. Conscious editing doesn't start with what's trending right now, but with what really matters here. What's the essential of the idea? What do I want to convey? How can I do this uniquely? A personalized approach isn't about doing things your way just for the sake of it. It's about doing things in a way that brings value and serves a purpose. You choose what works, not just what everyone is doing. Because true value lies in your decision, in your style, not in the latest trendy effort that will be outdated tomorrow. Forget about mindlessly using efforts that are trendy and cool to use. Good editing doesn't rely on trends, it stands on strategy, thinking, taste, and fundamental skills that you know how to apply and why you're doing it. Everything else is temporary. A conscious process isn't about how quickly you can edit, but about ensuring there's meaning behind every decision. It's an approach where editor thinks first and presses keys later. It all starts with a goal. You must clearly understand why the video is being made. Simply saying to look good isn't a goal. Real goals sound like this: sell, engage, explain, build trust, grab attention, make them watch until the end. And from the goal, you decide what approach to take. For example, you have a talking head project, an expert sharing a thought. The goal: get the viewer to understand the point and stay beyond the first 30 seconds. So the edit must help focus, cut unnecessary words, add emphasis, guide attention with editing. The visuals here are not for beauty, but to retain the direct attention, nothing more. If it's an advertisement, it's a different story. The main goal here is to grab attention. Energy matters more than detail, so you need dynamic pacing, strong visuals, musical rhythm, and every shot should evoke something emotionally. It's about triggering feelings and associations with the products. But even here, not effects for the sake of effects, but editing as a tool for delivering meaning and emotion. Once the goal is clear, you move on to analyzing the material. You don't just watch everything. You pick what will actually contribute to the results. Sometimes it's a single glance, a pause, a strong statement, and that becomes the centerpiece. Everything else is built around it. Your job is to find the energy, not just throw everything you shot into the video. Next is structure. Even a short video needs a form. The beginning to grab attention, the middle to keep them engaged, the end to reveal what you hooked them within the beginning. No magic of editing can help if the structure is off. So you build a skeleton. Even without efforts, it should be clear whether it works or not. Then comes visuals and rhythmic choices. This is where you apply taste, technique, and experience, but the approach remains the same. Every effort, every transition, every piece of text should amplify something. If it doesn't, it's removed. Afterward, you look through the eyes of the viewer, the buyer, and the client. You ask yourself honest questions. Does this video solve the task I was hired for? Will the viewer understand what the video is about? Is it emotional? Will they watch it till the end? Anything that doesn't help gets cut. This is conscious editing. When you don't just do good, but when you work like a strategist. And that's where your true value lies. Not in the efforts, not in the color grading, but in the ability to think like a director, making decisions that lead to results. And then you're not just a video editor, you're a partner in achieving results. That's exactly what clients want to see, even if they can't always articulate it themselves. When you approach editing not as a series of technical actions, but as a conscious process, you begin to work with video on a completely different level. An editor's mindset isn't just about making something look good or adding effects and matching rhythms. It's about understanding what's behind the project, what problem needs to be solved, and how the video will interact with the viewer. Here, it's not just technical skill that matters, but consciously editing to positively influence the final result. The client doesn't pay you for beautiful editing. They pay for your ability to address the task at hand, your skill in understanding the goals and crafting a video that will meet them. For example, if it's an advertisement, the key isn't just to make it flashy and dynamic, but to create a structure that guides the viewer's attention to the most important points, helps them understand what product does, and motivates them to take action. It's not just about cool effects, but about translating the material into a clear message. When you approach editing consciously, you start working with a clear understanding of how each element will affect perception. For instance, you may realize that this project requires reducing the number of effects because simplicity and elegance will emphasize the brand's seriousness. Or you may make the editing bright and engaging, but in a way that doesn't overwhelm the viewer, guiding them smoothly to the desired conclusion. These decisions are made based on mindset, not by following standard templates. Essentially, the most important element in conscious editing is understanding the psychology of the viewer. You're not just working with video, you're working with emotions and perception. And when you know what and how to influence the viewer, you can create not just pretty videos, but effective videos that solve the client's problem. Because editing isn't just about combining shots, it's about creating an atmosphere, conveying mood, and using rhythm and transitions to direct the viewer's attention to key moments, helping them see what's important for their perception. This is why the client doesn't pay for a set of effects, they pay for your mindset, for your ability to see the bigger picture and deliver the right message. It's about analyzing the material, understanding it in context, and knowing what decisions are necessary for the particular project. This is what makes you a valuable professional, your ability to not just make it look good, but to make the video work for the results. Video editing is often associated with fast pace, effects, and animations, but in reality, there is one very important thing that everyone removes: silence. In this video, I'll break down how professional editors use silence as a powerful tool to create emotional and captivating videos. There are countless moments where silence plays a key role in evoking emotions in a person. Usually, it's not pure silence, but silence with music, where there's no speech, but there is tense music that creates tension or anticipation before a certain moment. These moments can be found not only in films, but also in regular YouTube videos, if we can even call these videos regular. Anyway, I will show you a few examples where it's clearly visible how silence is used to their advantage to evoke emotions in a person.
And final vote. Is Jaden. If this has $1 million, you instantly win.
I think it does.
Oh my gosh! Oh, whoa!
This is the world's highest basketball shot. Come on, come on!
Silence in editing is not emptiness, it's a powerful tool. Those who are serious about editing know silence can say more than sound. It not only highlights the important, it makes the viewer feel, think, and focus. In a moment of silence, everything unnecessary disappears, and attention is automatically drawn to what remains: the image, emotion, meaning. Good editors are not afraid of pauses. They know that silence is the place where perception is born. It's as if you give the viewer a chance to breathe in the information. Especially if there was tension, action, or emotional peak before, the pause provides the necessary contrast. It's like a comma in speech. Without it, everything blends together. With it, there is structure and emphasis. Pauses in video are not just an editing technique. It's a technique for managing attention. They make the viewer truly listen and observe. Often, it's in the moment of silence that the internal response effect is born, when the viewer feels that this was said for them. If you are editing a talking head video, especially in educational or expert format, pauses become critically important. After all, you are not just delivering information. You want it to be heard, understood, and accepted. And this requires air, space, And that's where pauses come in. They give you, the viewer, the opportunity not just to hear, but to digest the meaning. Professionals both on and off screen intentionally place pauses. You can even see this in their speech. They create breaks before key phrases, slow down the tempo before important statements. And editing only amplifies this. You can remove the music, leave only the breath, or just a few frames. And in that moment, everything freezes. That's when true perception happens. Understanding the value of silence is a sign of mature thinking in an editor. When you stop trying to fill everything and begin to leave space. Because sometimes the most powerful thing is not what you showed or said, but what you allowed the viewer to feel on their own. Silence is just the tip of the iceberg. True quality in video comes through tens of subtle yet important decisions. If you want to edit in a way that gets you paid more while saving you time, watch my free video, just 15 minutes, where I show you the system that changed my approach and helped others get tangible results. One example, my friend. We worked together personally, and within 7 months, he had over 15 million views, 100,000 subscribers, and $10,000 just from YouTube Partner Program. In this video, I'll talk about how to keep attention from the first seconds, how to edit not blindly, but with clear understanding, and how to raise your rates even without years of experience. No trendy animations or unnecessary information, just actionable principles. I've gone through pointless attempts to impress with visuals. Years were spent simplifying the process and focusing on what matters, results. Now I'm sharing this approach with those who are ready to edit not on autopilot, but with purpose and meaning. Start with this video, and if you feel it's right for you, at the end you'll be able to apply. I take a maximum of 7 people for group training and only 1 for individual training. If we go further, we won't just improve editing, we'll turn it into real value for clients. Just 15 minutes and then it's up to you. There's one unexpected but important insight. The desire to constantly add something is a sign of inexperience. Beginners think that a video should be packed, dynamic, more effects, sound, glitches, flashes. They believe that the more action on screen, the better. And this makes sense at first. You just want to show what you can do. But the more you grow, the more you understand. Editing isn't about who adds the most, but who hits the mark. Meaning, rhythm, attention, those are the real assets. Professionals know that the viewer doesn't need everything at once. They need something important, clear, at the right moments. Silence, pauses, simplicity, these are the choices of those who no longer fear emptiness, because they know there's power in it. One carefully chosen shot, one precise sound, or even its absence can work stronger than 10 effects in a row. This is an unpopular opinion because videos where everything explodes and flies tend to sell and get likes. But if you want to edit not just for likes, but for results, you'll have to learn to hold back from the unnecessary. This is true professionalism, not just editing beautifully, but editing with purpose. Every effect should be like a sentence in a conversation. If it doesn't add anything, it's redundant. True mastery is in saying less, but more accurately. Your work begins to breathe. It gains space, rhythm, power. There's a certain atmosphere that feels very different from what's so popular now. Silence in editing is often something beginners overlook, while professionals use it consciously, because silence isn't just the absence of sound, it's a tool for controlling perception. It creates space for meaning, air, and depth. When you work with a client who pays a lot, they almost never ask for more effects or glitches with every transition. They expect you to create an edit that respects the content. One when every moment, every enhancement is not a habit but a decision. And this is where silence becomes key. The client doesn't always need that kind of edit, but often they choose not a video for viewers with ADHD, but a well thought out video with meaning. A pause without music or even a second of complete silence in speech, it works as a powerful accent. It gives the viewer time to think, to feel. Clients who build brands, sell expensive products, run businesses, they understand how important not only what is said is, but how it feels. An overloaded edit causes fatigue. It develops important phrases and moments. Professionals use silence strategically. After a strong idea, a pause. Before a key shot, also a pause. Instead of dramatic music, silence that highlights the seriousness of the moment. This isn't editing to music, it's editing to emotion, to essence. But music must also be used to enhance tension and create intrigue. Beginners often fill every second because they are afraid the viewer will leave. Professionals, on the other hand, leave room because they understand that the viewer will stay if they feel respect for their attention, and silence is exactly that. You immediately notice the difference. Cheap videos are noisy, chaotic, and irritating. Expensive ones breathe, sound, work as they should. And this is often achieved not by adding, but by removing. It's silence, pauses, and the absence of the unnecessary that create a sense of quality that the paying audience appreciates. Such editing doesn't just look pretty, it sounds right. One of the easiest ways to elevate your editing is to consciously use silence. It's not just the absence of sound, it's a moment when you focus the viewer's attention, and when used correctly, your video instantly sounds more expansive, works more precisely, and is perceived as stronger. Where to place pauses. First, after the key idea. If you want the viewer not just to hear, but to feel, give 1 to 2 seconds of silence. It creates an echo effect. The meaning lingers in the air and isn't interrupted by the next sound. Second, before a visual accent. For example, an important shot, graphics, or a person's face. Remove music or effects half a second before and after, and the viewer's attention will be fixated on what matters most. Third, at transition points. When the topic, mood, or visual style changes, a short silence allows the brain to reset. This is especially useful in educational videos, interviews, or mini documentaries. Silence also works well in emotional moments, where there should be a breath, where the viewer should feel, not just understand. Don't be afraid to leave space. Often there's more meaning in that emptiness than in any effect. It's simple. Don't add silence randomly. Place it where the viewer needs to think, feel, or focus, and your video will instantly be different. Video editing is a strategic approach that makes a video not just beautiful, but effective. In this video, I'll explain how professional editors use the approach that brings real results. Purpose of editing is not just to create visually appealing content, it's a strategic process that should solve specific tasks. Every edit, whether it's a commercial or an educational video, should be aimed at a certain goal. And if you don't know what you want to achieve, the result might be beautiful but empty. Why do you need something that brings no results? Why do you need a video that just gives visual pleasure but provides no real value at all? Let me tell you how to approach video editing the right way. The first step is defining the task that the edit should solve. This is a fundamental point you can skip. The task can be different: to sell a product, to convey an emotion, to educate, or simply entertain. Your goal defines every decision you make in the editing process. It affects how you build your shots, how fast the cut goes, what music you choose, and even the moment when you add silence. If you don't know what you want, the viewer will definitely feel it. Successful editing is not just a collection of beautiful shots or effects, it's the ability to effectively deliver a message or evoke the emotions that you intended or are needed to attract people to a product or person. The technical side is important, but it's always secondary to the content. A professional understands the editing is not only visual work, it's also a tool that can either strengthen or distort the main idea you want to convey. For example, if your video is educational content, the goal might be to make the information clear and accessible. That means you don't need to fill the video with unnecessary effects that distract the viewer from the essence. I used to do the same, which led me to the conclusion that videos need to be calmer and with clear message. No effects, no distractions, just text and few images to slightly support the speech. Now my videos have become minimalist and almost without effects. You can see that clearly on this channel from the beginning, and also on my main channel where I stopped doing a lot of animations, so the focus would be on what I'm saying. If your goal is to sell a product, the editing should be aimed at pushing the viewer towards a decision. In that case, not only the image matters, but also the rhythm, the music, the pauses that create the needed tension. Editing with a purpose is always a conscious choice that works toward the result. When choosing tools and editing techniques, you should always remember that every element must serve your goal. It's not about making something beautiful and most often meaningless. It's about making a video that solves a task, whether it's engagement, selling, informing, or inspiring. Strategy before editing is the foundation on which a successful project is built. It's important not to just sit down and start cutting video. Strategy is the first and most important step that defines what the final result will be like and how you'll work with the material. When you define the goal and strategy in advance, you already know what you want to achieve. It's important to understand that the result always starts with the idea. If you don't know what you want, the editing can turn into a chaotic stage instead of a coherent, logical story. By thinking in advance about how you want to deliver the information or emotion, you'll know what shots you need, how to build the rhythm, and what techniques to use. For example, if your goal is to sell a product through the video, you think in advance about what moments should be highlighted, what details emphasize the value, and how to get the needed emotional response from the viewer. Planning in video is not just about creating a general plan or narrative. It's a deep understanding of how each element affects the viewer's perception. When you have a clear strategy, you can control the pace, emotions, and tension in the video, directing the viewer's attention exactly where it's needed. For example, in advertising, it's important to think through the structure, accents, and use of pauses in advance. There's no need to make a top 10 effects in After Effects or the best animation in 2025 if they don't serve the main goal, sales. Here, it's important to choose the moments that emphasize the product and engage the viewer. The more clearly you understand in advance what moments to highlight, the easier it is to organize the edit. A conscious approach to the project also helps you not to drown in a mess of data. When you start the project with a clear goal and strategy, you get less distracted by unnecessary things. You look at shots and sounds not as chaotic elements, but as tools that help you achieve the needed results. Planning and strategy are investments in the quality of editing. You don't waste time on editing that won't give results. Instead, you focus only on the aspects that matter for achieving the goal. This allows you to reach the desired effects faster and more accurately without wasting time on unnecessary elements. When you approach a project consciously, you control every stage. You understand in advance where the rhythm should be, where tension needs to be added, and where to create a moment for the viewer to reflect and rest a bit. This helps keep the result in focus at all time, not just edit the way you're used to. In the end, strategy before editing is not just a plan. It's a deeper awareness that every choice you make during editing should serve your goal. And the clearer that goal is, the more successful the final product will be. When it comes to the fundamental principles of editing, the key points that often stay in the background are the basics: proper cutting, sound processing, color correction, music, and so on. These basic elements lay the foundation for any project, no matter what you're editing, a commercial, a podcast, or a music video. But this is often overlooked, with people trying to jump straight into more complex and visually impressive techniques. The most important thing is to understand that the quality of the result always depends on the fundamental base. And no matter how much we try to decorate the video with effects, if its foundation is weak, it will look cheap. I've highlighted a few principles that will help you consistently achieve a solid result. Focus on the story and message. Before you start editing, it's important to ask, what do you want to convey to the viewer? This is the core principle that stays relevant no matter who you are working with. A strong message is what hooks people, and that foundation requires clean cuts and logical structure, cutting and synchronization. No matter how cool your effects or animations are, if the cutting isn't sharp, you won't be able to hold the viewer's attention. It's important to work with rhythm, not to drag out the shots, and also synchronize the video with the audio. If the shots don't match each other in speed or mood, the effect will be ruined. Proper sound processing. Sound in editing is not just noise, it carries a huge amount of information. Mistakes in sound, for example, a noisy audio track with voice or heavy reverb, can kill even good visuals. Proper sound processing is what helps you focus on the speech and not get distracted from the most important thing, the message of the video. Color correction is what makes the video visually appealing and helps create the right atmosphere. The same shot can be perceived completely different depending on how you treat it. Clean and correct lighting that doesn't tire the viewer also plays a key role in perception. The whole challenge of editing is not about adding more effects or viral animations, but in making sure your fundamentals are flawless. Only when you've mastered the basics, you can move on to more complex tools like animations, graphics, or effects. This is very important because advanced tools always serve as additions, not the foundation. For example, you can add interesting text animations to complement or stylistically emphasize a moment in the video, but if the rhythm and cutting are weak, the viewer won't notice the effect. Animation and effects should highlight important moments, not overload the material. Simplicity always wins. It's important to remember that more effects don't necessarily make a video better. Often, the most fitting effect is achieved through minimalism, using only those tools that truly improve perception. You shouldn't try to cover up mistakes with effects. If your editing isn't built on a strong basic level, for example, if the cutting doesn't match the story or the sound is too noisy, no effects will save it. Everything you do in editing should be based on a strong foundation. The fundamental aspects, cutting, sound, color correction, must be polished at the highest level before you add any special effects. That's what will help you create not just a beautiful video, but a truly high quality and effective one. Only when you learn to work with the basics, you'll be able to move on to more complex editing elements with confidence that everything will serve a single goal: equality, the intentional result. The most expensive videos don't scream about themselves, they just feel different. And the reason is in the details no one sees. In this video, those very invisible elements that make editing feel expensive, even without effects and animations. Silence and pauses are powerful tools that allow the viewer to focus on key moments, enhance perception, and emphasize important emotions. They help avoid overloading the video and make it deeper and more meaningful. When you leave space without sound, the viewer starts to focus more on what's happening. It's like a moment of anticipation. Silence creates tension before important events or strong emotions. For example, before the climax of a scene or a dramatic moment, silence helps prepare the viewer and make the moment more expressive and intense. Pauses are moments when you deliberately slow down the pace so the viewer has time to absorb important information. For example, if you make a short pause after an important statement, the viewer gets a chance to realize the significance of what's being said. This helps to understand the meaning and emotional weight of what's happening more deeply. When and how to use pauses to highlight an important moment. When you want the viewer to pay attention to a key idea or action. For contrast, a pause after a fast or intense scene helps create a reset effect, increasing the attention to the next moments. For reflection, when you need the viewer to think about something, a pause gives them time to focus. How to use pauses effectively. Don't overdo it. Pauses should be appropriate and not disrupt the overall rhythm of the video. Too many of them can lead to a loss of your interest. Make pauses intentionally. Every pause should be planned in advance to serve the purpose of the video, not be random. Choose the right moments. Pauses only work if they placed at the right time. When you understand where they truly enhance perception, the effect will be at its peak. Using silence and pauses is not just a technique, it's a way to control the viewer's perception, making the video more emotional. Proper pauses give space for awareness, and silence helps to strengthen attention and the importance of what's happening. These invisible and subtle details are just the beginning, the smallest part of video editing. The real power lies in your decisions and basic editing skills that every video editor must master. If you want to learn how to edit in a way that makes you get paid more for your work while spending less time, watch my free 15-minute video. In it, I show you the system that changed my approach and helped others achieve real results. One of these cases is my friend. After our one-on-one work, he got more than 15 million views, gained 100,000 subscribers, earned $10,000 from the YouTube Partner Program. In this video, you will learn how to keep the viewer's attention from the very first seconds, how to edit consciously, not intuitively, how to increase the value of your services, even if you don't have much experience yet. No effects that don't fit the context, no empty trends, just effective approaches. I went through many attempts to impress visually and spent a long time looking for optimal methods. Time showed that minimalism and clear goal brings the best results. Now I'm sharing this method with those who are ready to move from automatic editing to conscious editing with a precise goal. Start with this video, and if you feel that this suits you, at the end, there will be an opportunity to apply. Group training no more than 7 people, individual training only for 1. If we continue working together, the result will be quick, your editing will become a real asset for your clients. 15 minutes and you decide what to do next. Camera movements allow you to bring in dynamics and focus on viewers' attention on important moments without overloading the video with unnecessary effects. It's not always about sharp movements, but rather subtle, intentional changes that can transform how a scene is perceived. You don't always need fast movements to create a sense of motion. Light, almost unnoticeable changes in angle or camera position can add liveliness. For example, a smooth zoom in or out from an object creates a feeling of movement without extra activity. Zooming in or out can be used to highlight something important or focus attention on key details. When to use camera movements? When you need to emphasize the importance of a moment. A zoom in helps to highlight details important for understanding the story or emotions, to enhance drama or tension. A gradual zoom in can be used to amplify the importance of what's being said. Minimal camera movements don't draw too much attention to themselves, but they serve an important purpose, improving perception and helping the viewer focus on key moments. Instead of overloading the viewer with visual effects, you give them time and space to process what's happening on screen. By using minimal camera movements, you not only add dynamics, but also effectively guide the viewer's attention. This makes the video feel more organic and creates a balance between visual effects and storytelling. Smooth musical transitions are an important part of editing that helps avoid sudden mood changes and creates an organic flow. This is especially important if the video uses several different music tracks or if the emotional tone shifts. When music changes too abruptly, it can throw the viewer off and disrupt how the content is perceived. To avoid this, it's important to approach the creation of smooth transitions correctly. How to make transitions smooth? First, using a common background. One way to create a smooth transition between tracks is to use a common element that exists in both compositions. This could be a shared harmony, rhythm, or even a small melodic motif. It's important that the new track doesn't come in too suddenly, but rather rises smoothly out of the old one. Second, fading out and gradually introduction. When one track ends, you can use a fade, lowering the volume of the music until it completely disappears. Then you can carefully begin to introduce the next track at a low volume, increasing it as the new track unfolds. This creates a sense of smoothness. Third, using sound effects. You can use sound effects for transitions that help gently connect two tracks. This could be, for example, nature sounds like wind or water noise, which serve as a kind of bridge between the two compositions. Most often, you'll find rise and hit used for this kind of transition. Music not only creates atmosphere, but also serves as a linking element between different parts of a video. If you are switching topics in the video, musical transitions can be just as important as visual ones. For example, if you're moving from a positive topic to a more serious one, music can smoothly guide the viewer into the right mood, supporting the visual transitions. It's important to do this not only when the mood changes, but also simply to support variety with similar yet different music. If you are changing the mood in the video, it's important not only to visually highlight that, but also to express it through music. This can be done smoothly, for instance, transitioning from light music to something more dramatic or the other way around, from tense to calm. Such a transition requires perceived work with the tempo and style of the composition. It's very important not only to properly set technical parameters, but also to trust your ears. Try it in different moments, listen to how the transition feels, and adjust. If a transition sounds too sharp, make it smoother. Hopefully, that's already obvious. Sometimes the easiest way is to use instrumental music or neutral sounds as transitional elements to pre-thought before you start a new content block. This could be a soft chord, an ambience, or a sound that gently leads into the next part of the video. Smooth transitions between music ensure a comfortable experience for the viewer. This makes the video feel more professional and keeps the viewers focused on the content itself, not on sudden changes. High-quality musical transitions allow you to move from one topic to another smoothly, preparing the audience for changes, which ultimately creates a more harmonious experience of the video as a whole. One of the key skills of a professional editor is knowing when a shot doesn't need any changes. This is an important principle that's often underestimated, especially among beginners who always want to improve or add something. Sometimes a shot already works perfectly on its own, and any interference can only make it worse. When should you avoid interfering with a shot? First, natural harmony. If a shot is well filmed, has proper lighting, composition, and dynamics, there is no need to rush to change anything. For example, in scenes where it's important to preserve the atmosphere or a live feeling, any change, whether cutting or adding effects, can ruin the harmony created by the cinematographer or director. Second, less is more. Sometimes simplicity in editing is exactly what's needed for effective perception. Films with minimal edits often turned out to be much stronger than those loaded with effects or sharp transitions. It's important to remember that the goal of editing is not just to process the material, but to highlight its essence. Third, the role of the shot in context. When a shot is part of a bigger context, it doesn't always need to be improved or changed to remain effective. For example, if you're creating an atmospheric or meditative video where every detail matters, any additions or subtractions can destroy its integrity. How do you know a shot doesn't need changes? First, no sense of discomfort. If while watching the shot you don't feel something's off, that something needs to be sped up or an effect added, most likely it's already working as it should. It's important to kind of listen to the shot and trust your intuition. This comes with experience, when you begin to understand that editing can sometimes just get in the way. Second, scene integrity. If the shot fully matches the mood, rhythm, and atmosphere of the scene, don't touch it. No effect can be improved the feeling if the original shot already conveys the right emotions and mood. Third, solving the task. It's important to remember that editing exists to help tell the story and convey emotions. If the shot already serves its purpose, it's better to leave it untouchable so as not to disrupt the process. The ability to not touch a shot is a sign of maturity and confidence in your approach. It also helps avoid unnecessary manipulation that could distract the viewer from the core. A professional editor understands that sometimes the strongest decision is not to interfere at all. Sound is one of the most important, yet often underestimated aspects of editing. Even though viewers may not always consciously notice poor sound quality, they definitely feel it on a subconscious level. Small noises, artifacts, reverb, or just a low-quality recording can create discomfort, even if the rest of the video is perfect. Why sound cleanliness is important? First, sound affects how we perceive video. Unlike visual elements, which can be evaluated instantly, sound affects us more subtly and invisibly. Bad sound, even if it doesn't cause a direct reaction, can be a source of discomfort that lowers the overall perception of the video. The viewer doesn't always know what exactly is wrong, but feels like something is off. This can reduce engagement, especially if the content is long. People often won't keep watching if the sound is annoying or distracting. Second, sound creates atmosphere and mood. Good sound is not just the absence of noise, but also the correct use of elements like music, dialogue, and ambience. It helps create the right mood and highlights emotions. Third, bad sounds leads to bad information delivery. If the sound is bad, it can distort the actual message. For example, if speech or important audio elements are hard to hear or mixed with noise, the viewer won't understand what's being said. Even if the visuals are colorful and rich, poor sound can ruin all the effort put into making quality content. I use a microphone that costs just $50, but my sound feels like I'm in a high-end studio. That's because I focus on cleanliness and proper processing. I already shared how I process my audio in one of my videos. I really recommend watching that video. The only thing is the sound there isn't just great because I was pretty close to the monitor, so the audio ended up sounding a bit like it's coming from a can. But the information is still totally relevant. Also, a professional editor always makes sure every element, including sound, is clean and clear. Bad sound immediately stands out even if the visuals are perfect. That's why sound processing should be taken just as seriously as the visual part. Proper audio work doesn't just make the content sound good, it helps it perceived on a deeper level, drawing viewers into the atmosphere. So sound cleanliness is not just a technical detail, it's a key element that shapes content quality and how it's perceived by the audience. Volume balance is the foundation of good sound. Even if you have a perfect recording, awesome music, and clean voiceover, if one element is louder than another, it ruins the whole impression. Why is this important? First, everything should sound together, not fight each other. Speech shouldn't drown in music, and effects shouldn't suddenly break the immersion. Balance means every sound has its place, works for the video, and doesn't pull attention away. Second, the viewer shouldn't feel tension. If the music is sometimes too loud, then too quiet, that's already a problem. Good balance means the viewer doesn't think about the sound at all, they just perceive it as natural. Third, sound hierarchy matters. I have a separate video where I broke down sound hierarchy in detail. To explain it briefly, speech is always the priority, music should boost emotions, not interfere, effects used precisely so it doesn't overwhelm, background/ambience, unnoticeable but felt. Listen on different devices. Check how it sounds on headphones, phone, speakers. Good balance sounds right everywhere. Basically, if the sound is leveled and each layer is in its zone, the video feels easier to watch, more professional, and just nicer. Lately, I've noticed a huge number of videos on YouTube where they show you the next viral animation, but that doesn't make the content valuable. In this video, I'll explain you why following trends limits your success and how to start creating unique and valuable work that will make you stand out as a professional. You know, the problem with trends is that they are like fashion. Today you're trending and tomorrow you're outdated. When you're just copying viral animations and effects, they become part of the general stream. Seems cool, you're using the same animation as everyone else, the ones getting popular, but here's the problem. All of it gets outdated fast. Imagine you make a viral animations you saw from some video editor, you can use it in your video, and it becomes part of that wave. But over time, the trend loses its relevance because everyone is doing the same thing. You become just another editor who's simply copying. Trends are temporary and there is no strategy behind them. They can be useful in some cases, but they don't give you uniqueness. It's much more valuable if your work becomes recognizable, if your editing has something that no one else has done before. When you create content that's not just pretty, but goes against the grain, you start standing out. And that is worth way more than an animation 200 other people will use tomorrow. So instead of chasing every new trend, it's better to learn how to create your own style that will be in demand and fit the context of your videos. When you find your uniqueness and start working consciously, clients will come to you not because you follow trends, but because your approach is something more. You're not just doing tasks, you're creating videos that bring long-term results. If you truly understand that trends won't give you as much value as conscious video editing, then I'm offering you to watch my free 15-minute video where I share a system that helped me and not just me. For example, it helped my friend get over 70 million views, gain 110,000 subscribers, and earn $10,000 from the YouTube Partner Program. You'll learn how to capture attention from the very first seconds, edit consciously, not based on intuition, raise the price of your services even if you don't have much experience yet. Trends come and go, but your unique style and solid fundamental editing, that's what will always be in demand. When you start working consciously and creating something of your own, clients will come to you for results, not for trendy animations. If what I'm saying resonates with you, there will be an option at the end to apply for the training. A 1-month group, no more than 7 people, or individual training for just 1 student. 15 minutes and you decide what to do next. When you work with high-quality clients, they are always looking for something more than just standard editing. Premium clients want to see that you are capable of solving their specific problems, offering non-standard solutions, and bringing originality and your own ideas. To attract premium clients, you need to demonstrate your ability to think outside the box, to offer solutions that perfectly match the client's specific task. That means not just following trends or templates, but being able to adapt your skills to a specific request, find new approaches, and create something completely original. On top of that, uniqueness in your work builds a strong reputation. If you always create something unique, clients will start recommending you to others and will keep coming back to you again and again, because your style and approach solve their problems and bring results. In the end, uniqueness is the key to long-term relationships with high-quality clients. Trends, no doubt, can give you a short-term success, more views, more orders, popularity among the audience. But here's the catch: trends always change quickly. Today you're making videos with effects everyone wants, and tomorrow no one pays attention to them anymore. Trends come and go, and if you build your work only around them, you end up in a situation where everything you did before loses its relevance. The thing is, trends aren't something long-lasting. They rise on a wave of hype, grab attention, and usually disappear fast because someone else starts doing something similar, and the audience gets tired. That's how you fall into a trap of copying, where your work becomes repetitive and easily replaceable. For example, everyone starts using viral animations or popular effects, and now you're just one of many doing the same thing. If you constantly focus only on trends, you risk not being able to adapt when they disappear. Meanwhile, a unique style will always be relevant because it reflects your individuality, not just short-term obsessions. By working on yourself and developing your skills, you become more valuable to clients and viewers, because your approach becomes something consistent, unique, and independent of outside factors. Also, when you create something unique, you attract the kind of audience that values your specific vision and style. That's a much stronger foundation for long-term success than following trends, which can vanish at any moment. If you want your work to stay relevant, you need to focus on creating something that doesn't depend on what's trending right now, but on your own idea and approach. Completely rejecting trends is not always a good idea. Trends are a kind of indicator that show you're aware of what's going on, what grabs the audience attention, and what gets a response. They can be a great tool to get in the game or stand out at the beginning, but it's important to understand how to use them, not just following them blindly. For example, if you're starting a project and want people to find out about you, using a popular trend can help attract attention. It allows you to become part of a bigger cultural wave that can give your content an initial push. Trends are a tool for quickly catching interest, not a long-term strategy. But at the same time, it's important that you use trends consciously. If a trend fits your niche or your unique concept, it can help strengthen your message or express your idea through a language that's familiar to viewers. But if you're just doing what everyone else is doing, without any connection to your personal idea or style, it can lead to sameness and a loss of uniqueness. Trends can also be useful for enriching your work, adding some new elements or approaches. For example, a trend for flashy visual transitions or music can add more energy to your video if you use them wisely. Trends shouldn't define your work, they should complement your main style and concept. That way you can keep your uniqueness while still using relevant tools to grab attention. Copying trends word for word is a trap that beginners often fall into. The problem is that trends quickly become mainstream, and when everyone's doing the same thing, your work loses its value and becomes just as replaceable as everything else. But that doesn't mean you should completely ignore trends. Instead of just repeating what others do, try using them as inspiration. By being inspired by trends, you can create something new and unique. For example, if a popular effect or animation works well for others, it can be a good starting point to adapt the style to your own approach. You can take a familiar effect but do it in a way that reflects your style or idea. It could be an unusual combination of colors, textures, or even creating a unique transition that looks like a modern trend, but with your personal touch. Or if you see a certain visual style being used a lot, try adding something to it that makes it more yours, some unique detail that makes your work stand out from the rest. It's not just a way to stand out, but a path to building your own unique style that later becomes your signature. This way you can stay up to date with current trends while still remaining unique and keeping your individuality. Trends are definitely an important part of the industry, but they shouldn't be your ultimate goal. Following trends can help you stay in the spotlight and attract clients, but if you base your work entirely on trends, you risk becoming just another editor who repeats what everyone else is doing. And that seriously lowers your value as a video editor. To stay in demand, it's important not just to follow trends, but to create them. This is a much more challenging but also much more rewarding strategy. When you create trends yourself, you become not just a performer, but a leader who sets the tone for others. The trends you create work for you, your work becomes unique and valuable. That's why originality is so important. When your style is unique, when you are not afraid to experiment and go beyond conventional solutions, you create something that no one else can replicate. That attracts high-quality clients who value a personal approach and want something exclusive. The main thing is not just to copy or follow others. Your goal is to create something new that will inspire others and set directions. It's not always easy, but with every new project, you can add something unique that will set you apart from the rest. The balance between trends and uniqueness is the key to long-term success. Trends can give you instant attention, but only your uniqueness will provide you with stable success and recognition in the future. Trends are a great way to attract attention and engage viewers or clients. When you see that the industry starts using new animations, effects, or approaches, it signals that this element is currently in the spotlight. By including it in your work, you can tap into a relevant topic and show that you're not behind the times. Trends are also useful when you want to create content that gets noticed quickly. If you're just starting and want to attract attention to your projects, using trends can be a good way to make a statement. It can give you your first views and clients who will be interested in your content because of its relevance. However, if you constantly repeat trends, you risk becoming part of general crowd rather than standing out among others. Uniqueness is where your true strength lies. When you develop your own style, you create something that very few can replicate, and that is valued much more than just following a trend. To find the balance, it's important to be aware of your value and what sets you apart from others. If you feel that the trend fits your style and integrates naturally into your work, use it. But always leave space for creativity and your own vision. Thank you for watching this video to the end. That fact alone shows that you're ready to go beyond the limits and truly level up your skills. I'm proud of that, and I think you wanna go further, not just through videos, but in practice with advice and breakdown of your mistakes. In my training, you get a system, not just a bunch of random tips. There are two paths. The first path is group training for 30 days. Editing breakdown with practice on my original footage, a full set of materials and bonuses, support and communication in a private Discord community, feedback from me on your work, final call to review your progress, lifetime access to updates, and only 7 people in the group. First 3 get a 20% discount. And the second path is one-on-one mentoring for 30 days. Everything from the group training plus Full breakdown of up to 4 of your videos. I'll completely redo your project to show how to raise the quality. Weekly Zoom calls with consultations, personal Discord to contact me, custom materials made for your tasks, a chance to join a real paid project, chance at becoming my main video editor, and I work with only one person to give maximum attention. If you want to seriously upgrade your skills and move to the next level, the link to the forum is in the description. Make your choice and see you soon.